So we're talking with the Chief Minister, and there's only one subject that really on everyone's lips this morning is following the revelations about Mr Houghton. Jaw-dropping interview I thought I heard in the radio today. It wasn't his fault. Everyone's fault, but his fault. That's the sort of where it appeared to be coming. Your comments?
Well, to begin with, I didn't hear the whole interview, so I can't really comment on it. And I don't know all his personal details. I can't really comment about that.
Well, he says they should have told him to check that he was paying the money.
Members also have a responsibility to check on their own affairs as well. My big concern, and I suppose relief about this at the moment, is that at last the announcement has been made of the one member who hadn't admitted to paying his contributions, because up until now there's been a dark cloud over every single member of Tynwald. The public have been questioning as to who it is. Everybody's been in the spotlight at some point or other, and I think that is totally unfair, and especially as most members are hard-working. They are very diligent, they look after their constituents well, they keep their affairs in order financially, and all that has been forgotten while this finger has been pointed at various members. And so for the sake of the members of Tynwald, I think this has been a good outcome.
It was strange that even some ministers were putting on Facebook their pay slips. I mean, did you feel the urge to join them in that?
I did not. I think that's demeaning, frankly. I've made it very clear I've always paid my pension as I was expected to do from whenever it started, but I do not believe that ministers or members should be going on social media, or even need to go on social media with that sort of evidence. And I think the outcome has proven that to be right.
And Mr Houghton, is it a line drawn over that now, move on?
Mr Houghton has his own issues to deal with Treasury, obviously. He's come clean now. He's told the public what his position is. I don't know any of the background details of that, so I can't comment on that. That's for John to decide himself. He's been very clear and very robust in his defence of the position, and it will be really now for him to rectify his position with Treasury as far as pensions concerned for the future.
Interviewing you as many times as I have, I can clearly hear you picking your words incredibly carefully. You obviously do feel this has been a terrible situation today.
I don't think it's been Tynwald's finest hour, I have to say. God knows we have enough very, very difficult and challenging issues to deal with at the moment. And they're not getting any easier. We're getting close to putting together this year's budget.
I was going to ask you about that. What can you tell us?
Which is going to be a very, very challenging budget altogether. All this has been a distraction, frankly, and an unnecessary distraction. Okay. I hope, as I say, it's now put to bed, and it's for John to sort out. It's nothing to do with government. It's nothing to do with me as Chief Minister. John has to sort that out now, and I'm sure he will.
Let's talk about budgets in a bit. I mean, you're putting the airport charges, they're definitely going to go up now for people parking. In the past, you've had to climb back down on this one. It's those little things that seem to be the hardest ones to get through. You can put up other things and no one hardly blinks an eye, but put up parking or take away free parking, and it seems like we're on World War III sort of status almost.
Yes, I mean, these small things do generate a disproportionate reaction, I think. These things will have to happen, I'm afraid, until we get this budget balanced. I'm hoping we will be able to show good progress towards rebalancing in February. We're very close to it now, I think. A lot will depend, of course, on how the economy and tax returns pan out over the next 2 or 3 months.
Well, I can tell you now, Eddie Tear's worried about price of petrol, no doubt, because normally it's always going up. You get a massive increase. Yes. You've had to rejiggle books, no doubt. I've seen the price falling.
Absolutely, and that happens to every Treasury Minister. What we forget sometimes is that the revenues that government earn are very limited in terms of our ability to influence it. Our only real influence is on direct taxation, which is personal taxation. We are locked into 0.10 because we for corporate tax, because we have to keep that economy going. We will lose several thousand jobs if we lose the zero rate. VAT is set by the UK. It's not a figure we can settle ourselves.
But it's a great one for you, though, isn't it, Mr. Bell? I mean, you can put your hands up and simply say, well, the UK's going that way. We can't do much about it.
Well, yeah, that's one way of looking at it, but we don't want to be looking at it that way. We want as much money in as we possibly can to stave off the financial problems that we've got, and to be able to fund the services that we provide. We also, don't forget, have a national insurance stamp which brings in a substantial income. That again is set by the UK because we have a reciprocal agreement with the UK.
I put it to you though that if tax goes up, indirect tax to 25%, I think we talked about this before, you'll be very happy about that, wouldn't you? Technically, for balancing books.
Well, I suppose if we want to talk about it technically, it would bring in extra money. And indeed, the Labour Party in the UK is pushing for an increase in VAT.
Well, they've got to pay for these election promises somehow, haven't they?
Well, I don't know where they're going to pay for their promises, but the thing is, putting 25% up, VAT up to 25% would be helpful for government's finances, no doubt about that. But it would be devastating for the standard of living of most of the people on the Isle of Man, and we can't have that either. So whilst many of these things might seem easy solutions to some of these problems, there is always a ramification.
And there's this tipping point, isn't there? Because at the end of the day, living on the Isle of Man was always meant to be because X and Y were beneficial, and it was a bonus to come here. I mean, pensions are under squeeze. No doubt something's going to be mentioned about the pensioners' Christmas bonuses again. We keep thinking it's going to come up. You must be looking at those sort of differences that up to now you've been able to give people of the Isle of Man.
Yes, I mean, we've been fortunate. There's no question about that. Over the last 10, 15 years, we have had a steady flow of income which has enabled us to do this. World has changed, and it's not just VAT. Since the credit crunch, the economic situation has changed. We are looking at changes in the United Kingdom, for example. They've already announced that they're going to bring in changes to their pension arrangements. The UK fixed our pension, so we will have to look at that again. There is a wholesale reform now of the UK benefit system. We have reciprocal agreements with the UK on all that. So pensions and benefits will all have to come under the spotlight. And it may well be that the time is coming very close now where we might need to break away from the UK altogether and start establishing our own pension funds, our own benefit system, which will be more appropriate for the Isle of Man.